welcome. Don't scare the video. Me, I'm all over the world, my sister. Like I said to you at the museum there, I will start it freshly because they didn't take that information. Fine. Thank you very much, ladies and gents. Once more, I welcome all of you on this island of Kunta Kinteh. Today we call it. Looking at the status of the island today, it's very small. This island was 3 times bigger than the size we are seeing today. This is a global warming. The water level is increasing. Right now where we are, the water is under the island. This is why it's important for the government of the Gambia to have some people who will help them. Thank God the World Bank has found it. They will push the water on the island 100 meters away to restore the island. You don't need to touch the buildings. This is so original to me and so shocked to me, like if I'm seeing the original 400, 500 years building like that, I'll feel it, than to do fiction on the wall. Maybe you leave the buildings like this. Trees you are seeing on the island are from Madagascar. Baobabs are not indigenous trees in the Gambia here. They are brought by the Europeans into this country. When you talk about slavery, like I was saying, you were asking on the boat there when we were coming. You see, this is why England become the only country in the world. They can't defend themselves in the First World War, the Second World War. Because that's the question you were asking. 25,000 Caribbeans served the First World War, the Second World War, under the Act of the Treaties of 1945. That's so long we know generations suffered a lot. But it is so sorrowful and very sad. The Prime Minister of England couldn't tell the Africans today how many Caribbeans have been killed or deported or denied their British help. So when you talk about slavery, like I said in the museum, we are not here to join the color. It's not important to me. We are all humans of God. We all have red blood in our body. We all know, because when they want to tell us fake history, first thing they tell you, Columbus discovered America. Look, you cannot discover a land where there are people already. That's practically impossible. America is a country which is initiated and discovered by our own black people. It's unfortunate those great Indians, they couldn't survive in that world. This is what brought the Portuguese into Africa. 1456, when they came to Africa. The funniest thing, the first brainwash our people say they are going to bring Christianity here. That's why the first Catholic church was built on Sunday in the planet of Africa. They were not using that as a church. They were on the whole looking for black people because they knew we could survive in this country. The tropical disease in America. Because Ottoman of talked close between China and India. Europeans were using the spices. So it was difficult for the Europeans to discover Africa. This is why when Sunday the Gomez, the Stigo the Gomez, and this Okada must have came to Africa. 1456. When they came to this, they didn't settle on this island. There's an island here. You people come by river. You pass on an island here called Dog Island. That's where they first settled. These Portuguese people, they settled there. These baboons, they throw stones on them. It's a beautiful island because they were not used to that skin color. And they decided to leave the island. Andrew decided to come and settle here. From there to this island is 18 kilometers. When Andrew was here, there was no building on this fort. This is a natural island, artificial. This island was natural like that. No single stone. It's just a white empty beach like that. They bring all these stones were transported by them from that island. In 1651, they constructed and built the fort on the island by the Latvians. When Andrew died here, he was being buried here, but the mass was done at that church. He's the first Christian to die. That's why they took the mass, the church mass to St. and they buried it. They call this island St. Andrew Island. In 1661, the English people brought all this cannon and attacked the English, the Portuguese, and they took the island. They call it King James II. They call it James Island. 1681, when they realized Gambia, Senegal, we are one country. We are called Senegambia region. The French divided. abandoned the island totally. They went and captured Banjul, and Banjul was called Batos. Georgetown was held by a British governor called George Lobel. They controlled the Gambia. They couldn't give us our independence to be free. We were ruled by a British governor called Sergeant Paul. After Sergeant Paul, we were used by a British governor called Sergeant Harry. Up to 1965, 18th of February, they gave us our independence. This is why Banjul, 6 gun batteries were built in Banjul to seal the mouth of the river Gambia. And when they realized when the ships enter in the Gambia water, they fire them because the ignorance of the Gambia river. They come to the other side, not bank of Gambia, Barra. They built Fort Glen 1826 and they closed the mouth of the river. So slavery stopped in 1807 in Africa here. But it's still going in other countries. But slaves on the island were asked if they can swim from this island to go back to the mainland where we take the boat. That's why you have that cannon there with the pole. If you can touch it, you are set free. But then you know black people, we cannot swim. All those dead bodies were arrested in the river Gambia. But slavery stopped in Denmark 1803, 1804. It last stopped in America 1860. That's why you have civil war in America, South America, and North America. So slavery become a major wound in mankind. No doctor can heal this. Look, what is the good thing to do? We cannot forgive. We can forgive, but let us not forget. It's the most important thing. The island was surviving with that two names, Andrew St. James, until recently when Michael Jackson's brother took a flight from America, came to Gambia, visited this island. On the 6th of February 2011, Jermaine Jackson changed the name of this island we call today, presently Kunta Kinteh Island, which we think is a good name because it's not a European island. We call it Kunta Kinteh Island. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the model of the island. That's how it is exactly look like. That is the governor house, and that is the restaurant of the island. This is a women's slave house. The women's became very valuable and more expensive than men's here because they captured young women, bring them here, use them as sex slave on the island. They have babies with them on this island. And this is 32 slave castles. So that is the main house. So, but all these things are just under the water. They are not gone. If you dive, you can still touch them. They are just below the water. So this is what we call it, is the left part of the island. That is the middle part we are visiting today. That is the front gate. That is not the original jetty of the island. The original jetty used to be here, at back of the island. Ships coming are using that way. So all slaves are taken here. They embark them, take their clothes naked, and then brand them here. They will take them on board to Gore Island. From there, they cross the Atlantic to America. Empty ships will come back again. So this is what is left. That's what we want to look inside. They do. They build a water tank. They got the water from the rainfall. So this rainfall water, that's what they force the slaves to drink, because they become dirty water. It's like weakening them. The island is torturing mainly for breaking their mind physically, so that these slaves won't talk in their language, attacking the Europeans on the island. These Europeans will leave the island. They go with their small boat, dinghy boat. They collect fresh water and bring it and use it purposely on the island. So thank you very much, ladies and gents. Please continue to ask your question on what you are doing, okay? Because it's not, the buildings are not built with a cement. Why it is very strong and old? Because it is built all with oyster cells. They will just pound oysters, and then they use the white lime. They burn them into white ash and then do plastering. So this is why they are very strong and very old. You see, they are bulletproof. So these are the first thing we're gonna see, like when we're coming. I mean, this is the water tanks of the island. You see, they get this and they created them to get a water like from the rainfall. So this rainfall water, they will be restored here for some time. Like when it goes 2-3 years, 3-4 rains water, they become like a dirty water. So, but they force you like a slave. You drink this water, you get a sick, you get a stomach ache and whatsoever disease, instead of thinking of like fighting the Europeans on the island here. So all these Europeans, what they do, they don't drink this water. They will go take a fresh water from the wells, come here, use them on the island here. This is why this island is so important. Almina Castle in Ghana, Gore Island, Zanzibar Island, and Benin Island. These are the like transit point in Africa for the slaves. That's why when they take slaves here, they could take you directly to America. No, but they take you again directly to Gore Island. From Gore Island, then they weak you again and then cross you to the Atlantic. So this is why they pack slaves on boat like a sardines in carton. Now when you reach to America, you don't see no more African. You see only New World. So you are confused. This is why they divide and rule them in America. That's what Bob Marley said, mental slavery. Have a good photos, huh? So this is the middle part of the island. We have various rooms here, well, 4 rooms inside here. Why they have these rooms inside here? Because this administration part was used by the Europeans, not the black people. That's why you see the buildings are still higher in some point. It was covered and there is a city here. No hot climate here. Europeans are using this area because they cannot survive in the hot climate. So one of the first rooms was used by their councillor, as you can see on this island. Every month they will be able to purchase about 88 slaves on this island here. So they are coming through the councillor who will do the registration. And this is the governor house. Andrew, I'm talking about the first Portuguese man who died on the island, was being rested here. This is why we call it the governor room. Those fire bricks, we never had them. They are from Liverpool and Bristol in England. English people will collect them when they are coming to Africa to balance their ships in the water. So they bring them from England. And that is the store of the island. That is where all the foods and the ammunitions, weapons of the island were kept. All the cannonballs, the guns, the gunpowders are kept here, and the food. But because the hot climate on the island here and in Africa, one day or the other, 1726, that was after the trade, a gunpowder burst and explode on the island here. That's what damaged the roofs on the island and blow off everything. So most of the walls were cracked because of that explosion. It was very powerful, which accompanied to kill 11 English white people on this island here. That's why they take that history to the Liverpool Museum in England. That's why that museum is interested in England, because 11 people died on this explosion here, and these English people take that. They forget 400 days when they are coming to Africa. They use the same boat I'm using today to go and look for me. I want to live in a good life, actually. So they don't talk about democracy and human rights at that time for 400 years. But today they are talking about democracy. So we have to be Pan-Africans. We have to be wise, actually. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Take your pictures.